Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to Weldon PC. Today, we're covering the basics of using ChatGPT to manipulate some of your data. The purpose of ChatGPT being a artificial intelligence generative chat function, uh, it's not only good for problem solving and for doing some complex situations, but you can also use it to manipulate data. That's what we're going to be covering today. In one of our prior lessons, which you can view on our website at weldonpc.com, you can see how to set up your free account, how to utilize that account, and how to close the account if you decide you want to do that. So, what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is a very powerful artificial intelligence language model. It can generate human-like text, and it can be used to power and provide some manipulation to some of your data. And we're going to cover that in a live tutorial here in just a little while. Remember, ChatGPT is not the artificial intelligence monster that it's being made out to be by anybody. It does require your interaction. So you can't just turn ChatGPT on and it starts doing all kinds of stuff on its own. It has to have somebody to converse with. So the user would be the person that it would converse with. So ChatGPT can be used to generate summaries of large data sets. We're going to use a little bit of data today. We're not going to use a whole spreadsheet or anything. It's just going to be a couple months of actually ChatGPT generated some content that we're going to use. It can be used to cluster data based on similarity. You can use it to sort. You can use it to ask questions against the data. It can also be used to track some trends and do some kind of future predictions if you decide you want to use it for that function. It does save a lot of time and resources. It does help you make some better decisions. It can help you with some patterns and some trends if you're in need of analyzing for that. Some of the challenges with some of the free models, you are limited to the amount of data you can put in. So there is some limitation with the free model, but again, it's good for analyzing a year's worth of income and expenses, which is what we're going to test today. It may have some biases, and as always, trust but verify. There are always going to be inaccuracies. I shouldn't say always. It's kind of like talking to a friend that some days has a fever more than others. So if you ask things like, give me the life story of Thomas Edison about the light bulb, which I know that's something we always kind of hammer on. Some days it kind of tells you some weird things that maybe Westinghouse or Nikola Tesla did, but not quite Edison. It is able to handle quite complex data sets if you're in the paid version. So while it's true that it can't handle complex data sets, in the free model, that is true. In the paid model, not necessarily. When it says using high quality training data, really the data that it's trained on is what you're providing. So when we get into our example, I'll ask a question of data that we haven't put in yet. It's not going to really know the answer. It can also verify some of the results that human experts would normally be able to do. And there are some limitations, and we'll explore those limitations when we get into it. Real world applications is going to be customer service chats, which it is kind of good for that. We have utilized it here for that. Not direct. Some of our email responses will help us generate a response to somebody if we're looking to answer some complex questions, or if we need to kind of give a training tutorial in an email, something light and brief. Market research analysis, it's something it's very good for. Language translation, I actually used it to deal with to work with actually to converse with a friend in Germany, and we actually were able to converse back and forth quite a bit with ChatGPT. But as far as manipulating data, it's good for doing some basic data manipulation, especially the free model. It can save you some time. It can save you some resources. And we will hop right into the Chat GPT model here. You'll see we've got our window open. We are utilizing the free version. Before we get started, does anybody have any questions? Again, feel free to use the chat window if you don't want to be identified, and if you'd like to unmute, by all means, hop in.
Hey, well, yeah, I have a question.
Hey,
Nice to see you
good to see you
again.
too.
My understanding, and I've used ChatGPT a little bit, but the data that's in it is it's a little aged at times, right? It's no more than 12 months. Like it goes out 12 months, then it's good or something like that. Can you
I
explain?
believe right now the cutoff on the Chat GPT training, which was actually trained on about 800, just over 800 gigabytes worth of data. That cutoff should be about September of 2021, and I do know that there is a new release that has either recently come out within the last week or two, or it's due to come out in the next week or two, and that will update things as far as real world events, but it's not going to be live time. So to answer your question more direct, you're right. The data that it's trained on is older. It's not antiquated, but you can't ask things like how's the weather, what happened in the news last week, and last week there was this announcement in the world of cancer research. Tell me about it. It's dated up to about 20 September of 2021 at the moment.
Got it. And you said that's going to be updated soon to, okay.
Yeah, currently they're working on a few things. There's a few plugins that can be added, and again, that's going to be in the paid model. I don't think the plugins are really, yeah, the plugins aren't really available here yet. The plugins will allow you to search the web. So while it says it doesn't really have accurate, up-to-date information, with GPT-4, that's not entirely true, but the base model that it's trained on technically is only from September 21 back. And the way they train ChatGPT, just as a brief overview, they took about 806 gigabytes worth of text, and they fed that text into a computer, a very, very large, very sophisticated computer by today's stretch. And they told the artificial intelligence to interpret the data, utilize the data, and that would be the data that we would all have access to, and the reasoning and the rationale that we would all have access to with ChatGPT, both versions 3.5 and 4. And those are not version numbers; those are actually generations. This is the third and a half, 3.5 is a third and a half generation of GPT. 4 is considerably more intelligent, more, I hate to use the word reasonable, but its rationalization of a prompt is a lot better than 3.5. If you ask a question with 3.5, you get an answer. With 4, you get a better answer. You get a more detailed answer, a lengthier answer.
Got it. Thank you. Yep.
So we're working with the Chat GPT version 3.5, and I've got a basic set of information. So before I paste the information in, I want to ask my Chat GPT, analyze my sales history. And it's really not going to be able to give me anything, but it doesn't have any information. So even though Chat GPT is trained to a certain point, it's not truly trained with our information. It doesn't have it yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste in a couple months worth of made up numbers that another Chat GPT account was able to feed to me. And I'm going to paste that in here. So now I took that real messy looking thing that I copied out of my Excel document. I pasted it into Chat GPT and I pressed enter. I did nothing else. No sleight of hand. It was literally the enter key. And it said, thank you for providing sales data. It looks like you have monthly revenue, expense figures, business involved in the computer related IT. It knows that I'm computer related in IT because my GPT, my ChatGPT has a preconceived notion that I'm a computer repair person. And I can show you what that looks like because you may want to gear it for engineering or manufacturing. In my case, it's in the service industry, in the computer service industry. So it assumed that I was in computer service and repair based on something I told ChatGPT to do early on. Let's analyze the data from January to March. My total revenue was claimed to be 16,000. Total expenses. There's our profit for January. Our February was about 6,300, and then there's our March. So it's saying let's calculate some metrics: the revenue, the net profit, and the expenses. If you have any specific questions, let me know. So if we take this information and we ask a question, it's not going to know, such as what were the prior year information. It should not come up with anything because it doesn't have any data. I'm sorry, I haven't been provided that information. Based on the information, what should the next quarter bring as far as revenue? So right there, based on the limited amount of information we were able to provide it, it's able to make some kind of extrapolation, if you will, as far as the information is concerned. So there are some other things that I'm able to do with ChatGPT and this information. Let's go back to our data that I pasted in here, and it's telling me my expenses, my utilities, what is my greatest expense. So salaries. Looks like the help is the biggest expense. So how can I maximize my profit? So this is kind of information that it's kind of drawing from ChatGPT. It obviously knows that it's not trying to say you should go fire all your help and do all the work yourself, but it's kind of saying diversify your services, upsell, cross-sell, marketing, customer retention. Let's see. So is my electric use high based on the national average? And then if I hit the little down arrow here, it'll take me all the way to the bottom. So it needs some information about your electric or kilowatt hours. So if you grab your electric bill, you can kind of key in some of the information. Now, as I have said a couple times already, one of the nice things about the paid version is you have a newer engine that you're able to use, a better interface that you can use. With this, I don't have the ability of attaching a file. With the new version, I can actually attach my electric bill if I took a picture or if I scanned it into a PDF. And if I take that and I upload it, it will read the file for me and then interpret that file based on the information that's on the sheet, even if it's in an image file. So that's one of the advantages of being able to do this. With that being said, does anybody have any questions about ChatGPT to this point, or do you have anything you want to see me do with this data? If you want to pop it in the chat, or if you want to unmute, by all means. All right. Well, we've been on for a little while here. We're going to be covering some things next week. I believe our topic next week is one of our last that we have on the schedule. We're actually going to be releasing some more dates and times. We would like your input as well. If you have any topics you'd like to see covered, we're still building what we want to do. Right now, we don't have anything on the schedule. One thing I did come across that
I'm unmuted. Hey, I have a question. How would GPT benefit our business?
okay. How do I want to speak in kind of generalities here, and only because I don't want to put the business out there because we haven't
Right.
discussed that prior to. But let's say we had multiple locations,
Like a retail location.
multiple retail locations. We'll go with that. So we have multiple retail locations. One of the things you're able to do is, as long as you have an internet connected computer, and it does not have to be a powerhouse, which is the case, you do have the ability of starting different chats. So if I were to give my login to the front of the office here, and we were to utilize the same chat, I might be able to start another chat and say Maple Heights. And then when it creates my chat, I can rename my chat, call it Maple Heights location. And then let's say I start another new chat and I want to name it Medina. Okay. So the one thing that's nice about this, you can kind of use it as you can almost use it as a messaging system, almost. I'm not saying this should replace email. I'm not saying it should replace phone communication, text message. There's a dozen other things you can do, but you can utilize this from multiple locations. But remember, anything I post on this particular account, everybody with my login would be able to see.
Okay.
All right, so that's kind of an advantage. I'll give you an example. Here in the computer repair shop, what we do is if we ask our ChatGPT a question for a particular person, not only can I go back and see it, but everybody who's in the office can go back and see it. So, oh, okay, well, Weldon did this to Jane Doe's computer. And then we can go back through and then re-examine and say, okay, well, we looked at Jane Doe's computer on this particular date, and this was the things that we were prescribed to try. We do use it for some troubleshooting. It's a little wordy, and for us, only because if we can't sit and read a novel per computer, it's not realistic. That's why, that's where ChatGPT can't replace me, because I know if the computer doesn't turn on, I don't need to check for settings in the computer. The computer is not necessarily on. It may be a BIOS battery, could be a power supply, but it's really done a little bit for inventory. Not only for us, we have somebody else who's been utilizing ChatGPT. Actually, has been working here in our office with us. We dumped her entire inventory, which was about 700 items, into ChatGPT, and we were able to convert it from one point of sale system to another point of sale system with, I think it only took us an hour, maybe an hour and a half to do the entire thing. It took her an additional day and a half to add pictures into her website, and she was able to kind of go crazy. And I'm sorry, I thought I was sharing my screen, and I just realized I'm not. So I apologize. I'll share that so you can see what the different chat windows look like.
Okay.
So right here you have the list of 3 chats on the side. The sales history right here was what we were just kind of working on.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got the Maple Heights location. And then if I add a chat, if I add on to that chat, it'll keep going. And if somebody logs in, they can see what we're looking at. And then there's my Medina location. And then if I want to add something else, that is going to be our Avon, Ohio location. So it then would give me I can rename this. I don't want to call it info. I just want to say Avon, Ohio info. But one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to put any public information on here. So I wouldn't put passwords into this. I wouldn't put administrative only information into this, because if you add the administrative only information to this, it would be accessible to everybody that has my login. So there's not different access levels, at least yet.
Right.
But as far as handling customers, I'll give you another one. So let's create another chat. A good place to go is create 5 samples of for Facebook for my bicycle shop. And leave it to the IT guy to not be able to spell bicycle. So one thing that it's able to do very quickly is with writer's block, I can go here and say, okay, well, we got new arrivals. Well, I don't have any new arrivals. Weekend adventure awaits. Are you ready for your Yeah, so then I can take this, I can copy this, and I can go over to my social media. And let's say we were logged into our social media. I could just go into my Facebook thing here, pop it in, and then there's everything that we just saw over on our ChatGPT side of things. So it can handle some of your social media. It can handle some information with your inventory. The free version is going to be better for the basic stuff. The more advanced version, the paid version, would be better for things like handling large inventory questions.
And like business questions?
Yes, but as I always say, and I always try to preface, anytime you're using ChatGPT, it's always trust but verify. So if you're going to ask it a legal question, you can accept it, but make sure you ask it to reference, for example, Ohio Revised Code on jaywalking. So here we'll use that as an example, just because I think that might be a good one.
Okay.
Write a notice to our customers about jaywalking. Cite Ohio Revised Code. So they're dear valued customers at our company. So I do know that GPT, the 4 version, will cite, because of the plugins we use, it will cite the actual Ohio Revised Code. Here, it did not do that. So unfortunately, this would be a bad example to show you. But do you have an example that would be applicable but not tip the hand?
Okay, so we want to do an inter-office notice to our employees about, I don't know, something.
Did you hear that?
Yep. So I'm going to create an inter-office memo to employees about parking.
Okay.
About parking procedures. And I'm not one to say something drawn out, but please park so customers can park closer to the door. And let's see what it comes up with. So there's our company logo. You can be inserted, because what you'll do is you'll take this, you'll copy all of this, and then you'll paste it into your word processor.
Okay.
And then it'll say, "Dear team, hope this message finds you well. I'd like to share a moment to address a matter that about our parking procedures. As our company continues to grow, it's crucial we ensure best possible experience for our customers, including their convenience while visiting our office location. Effective immediately, kindly request all employees follow the updated parking guidelines below. Customer-centric parking, designed employee parking areas, carpool ride sharing." So let's for a second say we're number three, so we wanted to remove number three because it doesn't apply to your business, because you can't ride share with a few people.
Right.
Location. Respect handicap parking, so remove four because that doesn't apply. Not because of handicap parking, but let's say you don't have anybody working for you that's handicapped, so that doesn't really apply here. Double parking wouldn't be practical, so let's change number 5 to be more practical. Reporting issues, so change 6 to email test@abc.com. And we want to say, make this memo shorter. So I've thrown multiple things at it, so you can tell it to do multiple things at the same time. Again, I'm pressing enter, and then I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here. And there's our much more brief memo. And again, ChatGPT, it would have posted the email address, but because we're using a more basic version, it doesn't really it doesn't hang on to some of the information from previous chats. That's why the paid version as of right now is only $20 or $30 a month. And it's very well worth it. I actually, for us here, I have 3 licenses for the office, and we just purchased another artificial intelligence program, which I'd like to kind of walk you guys through. I think you'll find it pretty interesting. But here's like an abbreviated memo that would fit on one page with a letterhead across the top if you already have one.
Mhm. Okay.
Do you have any other examples? I can throw them in there.
I don't think so.
All right, so with that being said, I did say I wanted to show you one other thing. There has been something very neat going on with artificial intelligence. I'm going to open a Word document. And in this Word document, you're going to see what you see all the time. Just a blank old Word document, all the junk across the top. But now you see an additional window. Draft with Copilot. All right, and we're going to cover Copilot probably in one of our next segments. I just wanted to kind of give you a little teaser here. Draft an inner office memo about parking. And if I click on generate, it gives me, or should give me, a little bit of a it gives you some it's going to be different than ChatGPT. One thing I've noticed, and one thing that's been going on, is initially Copilot was only released, I think, middle of last week. We were actually one of the first people to adopt it. And when we were able to get our hands on it, we noticed that if you ran something in Microsoft Word and you ran it on Copilot, things would be very parallel. You would see a lot of the same things being said, and it wasn't exact, but it was pretty close. And a day or two after we tested this, we noticed that at a certain time of day, which would be considered peak hours, ChatGPT would go one direction and Word or Copilot would go a whole different direction. Not that they were wrong, but the way they would respond were totally different. Not bad, not necessarily good. They just were different. But Copilot is able to communicate with your documents a little bit more and a little bit better than ChatGPT can. So because of that, because of the differences, we've actually bought a subscription to both Copilot, which is a Microsoft product, and ChatGPT, which is an OpenAI product. So I'm not saying everybody should run out and do that, but it is something to take a look at because there are differences and one may benefit you over the other. And unfortunately, they don't have free trials other than the free ChatGPT. But this Copilot that's involved in Word, somewhat Excel, definitely PowerPoint, is it's kind of an up and comer. They're releasing some major updates. As a matter of fact, when I sign off today, I've got to uninstall my entire Office application because there's a new insider preview that they want us to download, which is cool. But it's going to take me like a half an hour of playing around with it to get there.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any other questions before we continue? Or before we conclude, I should say.
Nope.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming. Next week, we're going to announce sometime today and tomorrow. We're going to announce February's schedule. It's going to be every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Go to weldonpc.com/class. Our classes are always going to be posted there. If you want to see something, feel free to email info@weldonpc.com and we'll put those out there for you. And from everybody at Weldon PC, have a great Tuesday.
Hey, Weldon.
Yeah,
Can you send me a text message of that information?
I'm
I forget by the
most-
time I get home.
yeah, I most certainly can. You're looking for the ChatGPT information, right?
Yes.
You got it. No problem.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Have a good day, everybody.
Okay.